Happy New Year, dear friends. So, those of us who live in Southwest New Mexico know that we got some stormy, blustery winter weather last night. And kind of the theme for me for the last couple of days, and for my vacation in Big Bend, Texas, where it was kind of chilly and super windy, was like being warm and snuggly. That was like warm and snuggly were words that kept coming up for me and what I was seeking. And I'm reminded this morning that not everyone has the opportunity to get warm and snuggly. And I'm thinking about the homeless people in our respective communities. For a lot of people, it's been a long time since they've experienced warm and snuggly. So I would invite you to keep them in mind, and anyone else who touches your heart as we do our meditation on compassion this morning. So why don't we go ahead and settle into a comfortable meditation posture, using whichever method you find most effective. Please allow both your physical body and your mind to settle and rest, to become quiet and still. And when you're ready, please go ahead and transition into meditation on the inner body. Compassion is defined as a loving wish for others to be free of their suffering. Please know that your true nature, the true fundamental essence of who you are, is pure, unconditional compassion. So I'd like you to please draw your awareness in toward the region of your chest, which is the seat of your capacity for unconditional, pure compassion. and just rest in that compassion. No analysis is necessary. There's nothing to figure out. Nothing needs to be added. I would invite you to please just rest in your heart of compassion. And finally, finally, for the remainder of our meditation, I would invite you to conjoin your experience of compassion with meditation on the inner body. Anywhere that you observe a sensation, you can know, anywhere that you observe a sensation within your body, you can know that there is consciousness at that place. And because your conscious is now entirely pervaded by compassion, you can know that compassion is also within your body. So I'd like you to please just allow the compassion in your heart to pervade your entire body, from the crown of your head to the tips of your fingers and the soles of your feet. And just rest in this state for the last few moments of our meditation. Of all virtuous states of mind, compassion is supreme. Now, very gently, very, very gently, please allow your consciousness to become less absorbed as you begin to arise from meditation. We dedicate all of the merit from this morning's meditation and Dharma talk to world peace. May all beings without exception be completely and permanently free from all forms of emotional and physical suffering. We make special dedications this morning for Ozzy the dog. May Ozzy enjoy a swift and complete return to perfect health. And we also dedicate for our beloved Sangha friend, Robert Southworth, who transitioned recently. May Robert swiftly take a fortunate rebirth with all of the conditions necessary for spiritual practice and realization. Completely fill up your belly and lungs with air, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes and bring your meditation to an end. Thank you very much, everyone, and welcome back. So we are continuing, we're continuing with our study of the perfection of effort. And as I was reading over Joyful Path of Good Fortune and the section on the perfection of effort, I'm reminded that this is kind of one of those tough love areas of the Dharma. So I'd like to read from you Joyful Path of Good Fortune. And this is the second. Remember our last class a week ago today, we talked about the laziness of procrastination. And this morning we're going to talk about the laziness of attraction to what is meaningless or non-virtuous. The attraction of the laziness of being attracted to what is meaningless or non-virtuous. And it's good, of course, to take these teachings seriously and to try to have a light mind as we approach it, because some of this stuff hits close to home, and yeah, at least it does for me. So Geshe Kelsang writes, and again, this is under the section, the laziness of attraction to what is meaningless or non-virtuous. Most of us are very familiar with this type of laziness. We give into it whenever we watch television for hours on end without caring what comes on, when we indulge in prolonged conversations with no purpose, or when we become engrossed in sports or business ventures for their own sake. Activities such as these dissipate the energy we have for practicing Dharma. When we are immersed in them, it seems that our spiritual practice is an obstacle to our pleasures and addictions. If we don't overcome this laziness, we can gradually become so involved in meaningless activities that we give up our Dharma practice completely. So we might be wondering, what constitutes a meaningless activity? The answer is our intention behind engaging in that activity, same as it ever was. Gardening could be a very meaningful activity. In mindfulness, it could be a very meaningless activity. Meditating can be a meaningful or a meaningless activity. It depends. Everything pivots, as I think all of you know, everything pivots on our intention for engaging in the activity. Therefore, we need to meditate again and again on the dangers of samsara. Some of us might be wondering, tell me again what the word samsara means. Samsara, all the appearances and conceptions of a deluded mind, or even more simply, the sufferings of worldly life, samsara, the experience of sufferings in worldly life. Therefore, we need to meditate again and again on the dangers of samsara, remembering that all entertainments of worldly life are deceptive, because in reality, they only serve to bind us within samsara and cause us even more suffering. Worldly enjoyments are like a flame, and we are like moths. When a moth sees a flame, it becomes so attracted, so fascinated, that it draws closer and closer, playing with it until it is killed. The moth sees the flame as a wonderful place to be. In fact, it is a place of destruction. In a similar way, we become fascinated by worldly pursuits and enjoyments and want to become more and more closely involved with them, but they are strong claws that hold us within the wheel of life and condemn us to suffering. If we are to generate effort that overcomes the laziness of attraction to what is meaningless or non-virtuous, we need to remember again and again how such activities waste our precious human life and destroy its essence. So, as I said, some tough love there. And, that book was Joyful Path of Good Fortune was written a few years ago. I don't exactly know the date of the first publication, but I want to say like maybe 30 years ago, something like that, before telephones, cell phones, and computer screens were a thing in our daily lives. So right at the very beginning, Geshe Kelsang sort of talks about or writes about consequences of watching television. I think we could throw in that category cell phones, smartphones, kind of some paradox there with the label smartphone, computer screens, internet, screens in general. I want to share with you a conversation that I had with Alan Cooper a while ago. And Alan is a meditation teacher here at Lotus Center. And as meditation practice and Dharma knowledge goes, they don't come much more qualified than Alan Cooper. I know you guys have heard me talk about him before, and we were talking in essence about the laziness of being attracted to what is meaningless and non-virtuous. And Alan asked me, we were on a hike. I remember this like it was yesterday. He said, we were talking about this, and he said, "What time do you go to bed at night, Jeff?" And I said, "Well, kind of 10ish, sometimes a little earlier, sometimes a little later." "Why do you ask, Alan?" And he says, because those hours of the night are often consumed by meaningless activities. He didn't use those exact words, I don't think, but that was the essence of what he was saying. And Alan said, he said, parents, for parents who have children who are still at home, those are really important hours, the hours after dinner time, right? Because, they have to get the kids ready for bed. Maybe they help with homework, put the kids to bed. And then afterwards, there's domestic chores that need to be tended to. And sometimes it's the only time of day when parents have some time to themselves, to spend time alone. So, for parents with kids at home, the time after dinner, whatever it might be, up until 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock, midnight, those are meaningful, important hours that are productive and really, really important. He said, for those of us who aren't parents or are parents who no longer have children living at home, he said, what exactly do we do with that time? It's kind of like, for some of us, like prime TV watching hours, maybe prime web surfing hours, maybe, time on the phone visiting, completely meaningless, time wasting websites and reading them and going deeper and deeper and visiting related web pages. I would imagine that everybody on this call knows what I'm talking about here. at the same time, we know that, I think most of us know that early morning hours are really productive times of the day, potentially productive times of the day. We're fresh, it's quiet, it's still outside. Really, really prime, precious time for us to apply ourselves to meaningful activities. Studying Dharma, maybe that's a time for us to read Dharma. Maybe it's time for us to meditate. I'm not castigating the night owls on this call, because, early morning and late evening hours, of course, mean different things to different people. The point of what I'm sharing, which is kind of the message from Alan Cooper, the loving message from Alan Cooper, is, how much potential is there for us to eliminate meaningless and or non-virtuous post-dinner activities by simply going to bed earlier? Yeah, I think it's a good point. I think it's a really good point. We go to bed earlier. Perhaps we wake up earlier, have a little more time before the busyness of the world kicks in to engage in meaningful and virtuous activities, such as Dharma practice and Dharma study and training the mind. So again, when we contemplate the laziness of being attracted to which is meaningless and non-virtuous, important for us to try to keep a levity to our consideration of it, because it's maybe easy for us to beat ourselves up over whatever we're doing that we regard as being meaningless and non-virtuous, and kind of find a middle way between having some levity and taking this advice seriously and doing some self-examination. What a coincidence. It's the start of a new year. We've got a really good opportunity to maybe change our practices. And, generally speaking, just one more thought before we close is that, I think everyone on this call knows that the new year is a made-up idea, right? It's like everything, it's a made-up idea. And actually, any date that we consider to be the start of a new year is a made-up idea. The pagans might say that, actually winter solstice is the start of the new year, the shortest day of the year. Some traditionalists might say, no, it's January 1st, because I think I'm remembering this correctly. One time I looked up who says that January 1st is the start of a new year? And I think it dates back to the Roman Empire when Caesar hereby formally declared January 1st as the start of the new year, because it coincided with other sort of planetary cosmological events, whatever. Still a made-up idea. And at the same time, I think there can be significance for us to regard January 1st as the start of the new year and maybe adopt some New Year's resolutions, maybe some New Year's Dharma resolutions. So to the extent that you haven't already contemplated that, I would invite you to do so. Happy New Year. I love you all very much. And hopefully I'll see you all on Friday. Okay, bye-bye.
Happy New Year, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you
New
very
Year,
much.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.